Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to Huddersfield in Yorkshire once again. So we're going to revisit Magic Rock Brewing, one of the best English craft breweries around at the moment, probably one of the ones that are best known as well actually. And we're going to have a look at another beer from the 2018 Cannonball release. So for this one we're going to have a look at the Human Cannonball. This guy is a double IPA and it comes in at 9.2%. From what I can gather on the ingredients on the back, the recipe is really quite similar to the Neo-Human Cannonball that you saw me review a few videos ago. They've just put less oats and things like that in it. So I'm really interested to see how we get on with this one. The other Magic Rock IPAs that I've had in recent times, they've all had this really interesting kind of acidified malt sort of thing. The malt's always had this little bit of sharpness going on, which I found is a really interesting kind of trend when it comes to these beers. So looking forward to this one. I've heard this is a very good beer from the English guys that are doing YouTube videos as well. So as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. Hopefully it's a good beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Magic Rock before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then about Magic Rock. So as I've told you before, Magic Rock are based in Huddersfield in Yorkshire in England, and they were established back in 2011 by brothers Richard and Johnny Burhouse, although Johnny later left the company, but they were joined in the very early stages by head brewer Stuart Ross. So the beer brewing began in mid-2011, and their beers proved so popular that they actually won the accolade of Best New Brewery of 2012 from Rate Beer, of course, the very famous peer reviewing site. But the brewery was largely inspired by the craft beer boom over in America, I guess particularly the West Coast breweries around at that time. It's only in recent years actually that the New England kind of scene has kicked off. But over the last couple of years they've been constantly expanding their capacity and their personnel simply to meet the demand for their beer. But as of 2015 they're now based in the Willow Business Park in Birkby, and they now employ over 30 people. And this new site has a capacity of around 10,000 hectolitres per year, and also a fermentation capacity of 70,000 litres of beer too. So they're a really impressive brewery, these guys. They do a lot of really cool things. Their main focus, from what I gather, is on IPAs. Their core range of beers, they do have a few styles, a few different styles in there. They've got the Dark Art style, which is really nice. You'll see a review of that at some point in the future. There's also the Common Grounds Porter, which I've heard very good things about as well. That's one that I definitely need to check out as well. I've really been finding myself getting into the coffee porters and coffee stouts these days, but mainly the beers that people are really raving about from these guys are the IPAs. They're doing some really interesting stuff. And along with the likes of Northern Monk over in Leeds, I guess Cloudwater in Manchester, Verdant down in Cornwall, basically there's a lot of really good craft breweries in England, but these guys are probably one of the better known ones these days. So if you're particularly interested in English craft beer, make sure you go and have a look at some of the Magic Rock things. They've got a nice little tap room and stuff like that in Huddersfield, from what I understand as well, that you can go and check out. Rob from Hop Scene is your man to ask about that. But that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and all these kind of things. But let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So like I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 9.2% double IPA. There you can see the typical Northern Monk artwork on this one. I really like the artwork on these cans actually. Since they've changed it and done the tall boy cans, I've really been enjoying their artwork. And I will say it again with this one, well done to Magic Rock for being sensible and European and using a 500ml can. There's so many of these breweries that are jumping on the bandwagons and using 440ml, the American pint. Half litre is the European measure. Go and just use it. One of my little bugbears or pet hates, if you like, I guess. But anyway, on to the specs of this beer then. So the malt base in this one is Golden Promise wheat malt, acidulated malt. Like I said, this is one of the the kind of quirks, if you like, of the Magic Rock beers. There's oat malt in there and golden naked oats as well. The hops, it's Cryo hops, Citra and CTZ, Centennial, Tomahawk and Zeus in there, T90 Centennial and Chinook, and also some CTZ as well. And the yeast in this one is WLP, a London yeast, 001. So yeah, it should be quite nice. 9.2% ABV, 4.6 UK units. So yeah, it should be an interesting beer. Love the artwork on these ones. Black top on this can, by the way. But let's get it out then and get on with the tasting. Looking forward to this beer. Nice smoky opening there, and we'll get it out into the glass. And I will say, this one is definitely clearer than the Neo-Human Cannonball. I was reviewing the Neo-Human Cannonball this morning actually. I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a comparison in this video, I guess. The Neo-Human Cannonball, from what I understand, is the new one. But definitely comparing these two beers, you can see this one is definitely a lot lighter. Some of the lovely citra notes are coming out of this beer. I can smell them just coming out of the can there, but there's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say almost perfect white head coming out of this beer. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. There is a little bit of haze to this beer, but definitely it's nowhere near as kind of haze for days as Rob from Hopsy would call it. It's definitely not as hazy as the Neo-Human Cannonball. If I put my fingers behind the glass, I think if I put my fingers like that, I can see it through there. I can see a little bit of transparency, but there is definitely a little bit of haze, but like I say, nowhere near what you would expect from a New England style IPA, but looks pretty much as you would expect. I think in terms of colour, it's fair to describe this one as a kind of light orangey, sort of dark yellow colour. It's really quite nice looking, but exactly as you would expect from an IPA or a double IPA for that matter. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Oh yeah, that smells really nice. So yeah, definitely for me, it's the citra hops kind of taking the fore on this one. The mangoes are in there. There's a little touch of grapefruit or something in there as well, definitely. There's a bit of Chinook in this one as well. I've just seen on the back of the can. I think I forgot to mention that with Chinook in there. So this one is pretty much the same recipe in terms of the hops and some of the malts with the new, in terms of the, what do you call it, the Neo-Human Cannonball. But yeah, you can smell the grapefruit in this. That'll be from the Chinook. Lots of mangoes and some of the juicier fruits. That'll be mainly the citra. The citra always gives you this little bit of mango, and then you can get some lychee and sort of gooseberry notes later on. With this one, I think there's definitely a little bit of the lychee coming out there. I do think some gooseberries. I wasn't picking up so much gooseberry in the Neo-Human Cannonball. Definitely some gooseberry in there. There's a little bit of a lemony note as well, and that'll be the Centennial that's giving you that. And to me, this one actually smells a bit lighter and more kind of, it's more of a floral spicy note that's coming out of this one, because I noticed with the Neo-Human Cannonball it was a bit more piney, which was the Chinook of course, but for me this one's definitely a little bit more floral, I would say, than piney rather than anything. So it is quite cool to see that a beer that is kind of the same recipe, they've just changed the malt base a little bit. It is really interesting. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about beer and brewing, is that you've got these kind of, this really central process that you can use, but by changing one or two things you can make a completely different beer. But it smells really nice, this one. The aroma really leans towards the fruity juicy side of things rather than anything else, and I think it's the citra hop that's really coming to the fore on this one. It's a little bit lighter and grassy. In terms of the malt base, you can actually still smell a little bit of the oats in this one, but it does lean a little bit more towards the bready side of things. There's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness in there as well, which I reckon is the Golden Promise malt coming out. But yeah, it does smell really nice, this beer. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But we're going to try this one now. So this one is the Human Cannonball, an Imperial IPA at 9.2% from Magic Rock Brewing in Huddersfield in Yorkshire in England. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. Yeah. That's a nice beer. You know, it's kind of interesting because that's one of the things I've always said, and I said at the start of the video as well, with Magic Rock, they've got a very distinctive malt base that they put into their regular IPAs. It's interesting because with that acidulated malt, or acidified malt I should say, sorry, I keep saying acidulated, with the sort of acidified malt that they put in their beers, it's really unique. from a lot of other breweries that I've come across. The closest brewery I can think of that I've had contact with that do this kind of thing is probably the Brewski brewery in Helsingborg over in Sweden. And they do something similar, but the Magic Rock ones, because they're using English malt, it has this really, the malt bases always have this really distinctive taste to them. And you can definitely, with this beer, still detect a little bit of that oaty kind of creaminess in there. So yeah, let's focus on the malt base first off then, so you can feel a little bit of that white bready character. That just blankets the middle of your palate, right in the middle of the tongue. There's a little bit, that oaty creaminess is really coming out there, and as you move further out towards the side, there's a little bit of the sweet biscuity flavour in there as well, which is really nice. But with that base layer of white bready character that I was talking about, that sort of acidified malt character, the malt base almost just has this, a little bit of this, it just has this kind of aromatic quality, which is really quite unusual. It's not quite sour, if that makes sense, but there is just a little bit of a sharpness to it, which is really interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's almost as if, the acidified malt in this one, it's almost as if you have like, it's almost as if you put like a little waxy layer over your tongue and stuff, and then things just kind of move over the top of it. It's really interesting because it feels like it does push certain flavours towards the front of the palate, which is really interesting. I like that little trend that these Magic Rock beers have, and it's some of the grainy qualities that come out of the malt base in this as well. For me, that's always one of these kind of indicators of English malt. I've always found, when I've done beer tasting, the English malt is a little bit, it does have this little grainy quality to it in comparison to the kind of German smoothness, if that makes sense. A lot of breweries will use German malt and import German malt, right enough, but I do think that the Golden Promise and things that these guys use at Magic Rock, I'm pretty sure it's English malt, and it does give the beer a slightly distinctive taste, and it is, it's their kind of trend. If I tried a Magic Rock beer that didn't have that little bit of graininess, it just wouldn't be quite the same. But yeah, the malt base in this one is nice. It's not, I mean, I was expecting this one to be a little bit more West Coast-ish, but it's more like a kind of traditional, if you can say that, Magic Rock sort of IPA, this one. I would have thought they might have put a little bit of caramel malt or something in this and made it like a West Coast style IPA, particularly when they're doing the kind of neo-human Cannonball. But then again, this is their sort of trademark IPA malt base, but it works really nicely. It's a really nice beer, this one. So in terms of the hoppy side of things then, in the back corners of the palate, there's a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the side of the tongue, the earthiness does creep forward a little bit, but then you start to get that nice spicy floral note. It's almost a little bit of a kind of peppery spicy character that's on the side of your tongue there. Then round the very front curve of the palate, it's just a little bit lighter and grassy, I would say. And then of course behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that little oily bubble where all those nice kind of fruity esters are starting to jump out of the beer. But yeah, as I say, it's really nice. And the one thing I would say about this, I did say with the Neo-Human Cannonball at 9.2% with a New England IPA, for me you're struggling to cover the alcohol warmth a little bit with that. In this case you're not. The 9.2% is kind of pulled off quite well. You do get a little touch of warmth there, but it's not quite as obvious in the flavour, I would say, as it is in the Neo-Human Cannonball. Not to say that the Neo-Human Cannonball is a bad beer by any stretch of the imagination, it was bloody good, but I think this one just covers the booziness a little bit better in terms of the flavour. So with the fruity side of things, if you just feel that little oily bubble, I think there's a little bit of a grapefruity character just underpinning this beer. Not quite as prominent as it was in the other one, right enough, but there's some mangoes in there, good little bit of that kind of lemony citrus. That'll be coming from the Centennial, of course, and as you progress further into the flavour, the lychees and the gooseberries are really starting to take hold. I think it's mainly a lychee note that's coming out of this one, but as you get further and further into the aftertaste, the gooseberries do start to come out as well. But overall, I mean, this is a really nice beer. It's kind of just like an amped up version, I guess, of the other Magic Rock beers. I do like that sort of trademark acidified malt base that they have. It works really, really quite well, and that is their kind of trademark. Like I was saying, if you had a Magic Rock beer that didn't have that little bit of acidified malt in it, it's not quite the same. If you have a regular IPA that doesn't have that, it's not quite the same from Magic Rock. So I do really like that little quality in this beer. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say probably on the lighter side of full-bodied, this one. Carbonation's quite soft, or somewhere between soft and moderate, I guess. Mouthfeel overall, it does lean a little bit more towards the oily side of things, this one. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness, I would guess somewhere around the kind of 70, 75 mark for the IBUs on this one. The malt base has a good little bit of sweetness to it. There is a little bit of that kind of acidified aromatic quality to it as well. It's not quite tart right enough, and the hops, as I say, good little bit of bitterness there, and some nice kind of juicy fruits there as well. As you go into the aftertaste, a little bit of that kind of acidified quality from the malt is sitting there, some of the breadiness too, and some of the nice kind of juicy fruits are just lingering as well. But overall, like I say, a really nice beer, another very, very solid effort from Magic Rock, and I can see why the English guys, the English beer tubers, have been raving about these releases. I'm really looking forward to trying the Unhuman Cannonball now, but I think that is going to be a really kind of difficult beer to get through, because, you know, it's 11% or something like that, but I'm sure it'll taste absolutely lovely. But this one should be really nice. I'm going to go out and enjoy the rest of this in the sun and just have a buzz on the rest of my day. But yeah, really cool to review this beer, and as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Magic Rock, of course, as well. Let me know what your favourite out of the Cannonball series this year has been as well. Always be interesting to hear that. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Human Cannonball from Magic Rock Brewing down in Huddersfield in Yorkshire, England. A really, really interesting beer. Pretty much a trademark Magic Rock IPA, but just amped up a little bit in terms of hops and booziness and things like that. But a really good beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Skål.